Hello, wealth seekers, and welcome to the Wealth Within Us. I have here today Teresa Heath-Wareing, and she is my marketing coach. So I'm hoping not only can she coach me a little bit more, but also help coach everybody else to find their wealth and bring it out within them. So I appreciate you so much for coming on. I know you're busy.
My pleasure. I'm very excited to be on. And as you know, I love a podcast. So I'm always very excited when someone in my world has made the decision to start one. So more than happy to be on and support you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I think I've been coaching with you for 3 years now, at least two, if not
Yeah,
three.
I think three. You've been in my world a long time.
I have
So I
crossed the
am,
ocean there.
yeah, I'm obviously not in the States. I have a different accent. But basically, what I now call myself, which I'm still getting to terms with, is I am a business and mindset coach. So I have come from the world of marketing. I've been in marketing for like 18 years because I'm hopefully older than I look in my dreams. But basically, I've been in marketing a long time. And then in the time of having my business, obviously the more I've gone through, the more I'm able to talk about, the more I'm able to teach on. And in the last few years, I have invested heavily, both personally and through the business, on mindset. Like, I have realized how important it is for me as a business owner, and therefore I've brought it to the membership and my world. But basically, I have the online business that everyone dreams of. We'll talk about that. But I have a membership. I have a high level kind of exec club membership, and then I do one-to-one. So I do one-to-one coaching and support with marketing and help people with their businesses. So, and I have a podcast and I speak and I flip in love all this stuff.
I know, and you do it all. You like amaze me sometimes. I mean, oh my gosh.
I also have a good team that helped me do all this. It's yeah, as you
True,
will now
true.
know from doing a podcast, it takes a lot of work.
It does. It does. And so far, I'm a one-woman team, but it's okay. It's okay
That's
for now.
fine.
It is.
Yeah, all good.
Well, one of the things that I think I really needed was mindset. And I think when I first started coaching with you, it wasn't the top priority. And I'm so
Mm.
glad that it became, because that is still my biggest tripping point, is getting over these thoughts and beliefs that really weren't yours to begin with, which we all know, or buying into what you see on social media and everywhere else, especially in the marketing world, how people, oh, I did this much and I did that much, and you're like, oh, how could I ever compare with that? So it is so
Yeah.
trippy, the mindset. It keeps us back.
And I think you're so right. And I think often what happens is people think they need the latest tool or strategy or tactic or tip, or there's some kind of hidden secret thing that we're just not telling people that they need. And I've seen people, and you must have seen this, people who have bought course after course
Mhm.
after course after course, every membership, every program, every event. Like some people I know literally go to every single event as if there's this one thing that they still are not sure about, or there's still this one thing that they need to learn in order to be amazing. And the truth is, it's in them, it's all in them. And they don't need another course, they don't need another like thing, they don't need to research any more videos on YouTube. It's the work in themselves is the most like amazing, powerful thing. And I was the perfect case study because my background is marketing. When I started my business, I was an agency. We did stuff for other people. We had done for you stuff. So one of the things that I did is I consulted on people building online businesses, and I helped people launch. I helped people create memberships. I did the funnels. We did the emails. We did the sales pages. We did the how to do a webinar. We did it all. And I knew that process inside out. And I'd had some real successes. Some of my early doors clients had built memberships and had had like 150 people join in day one. So I knew I was good at it. I knew my stuff. So I decided I'm going to do this myself. I want this online business that everyone talks about. And I created a course, and I didn't necessarily think it then, but it was a very good course and it covered off all the key things and it was good value. And I sat on it for an entire year and I knew all the stuff that people think that they need to know. And I did, and I knew it all, and I still didn't do it. And I didn't do it because I was scared. I was absolutely terrified that I would sell it and no one would buy it, that I would sell it and someone would buy it and hate it. Someone would buy it and say, you don't know what you're talking about. Someone would ask for a refund. People would see me selling it and think, who the hell did I think I was? And everything that stopped me selling was the mindset. But yet everybody thinks what they need is the latest tactic or hack or strategy. And often it's purely in their head.
No, I have to agree. That's exactly where I was, because you helped me create a course, which is on our website, thewealthwithin.us. And it is a course on how to write your website and how to do that. No techie stuff or whatever. But yeah, I fell flat on the marketing and spent so much time creating this course. And you beautifully helped me, because honestly, I wouldn't have been able to go through that process without you, because there were so many steps that I didn't know. But I think that goes back to what you were saying. You can get help with the parts that you don't know.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the launch, if you're scared, or all those same things went through my head, what if nobody likes it? What if what if nobody buys it? Do I have to just give it away? All these thoughts. And I think to this day still kind of paralyze me with that course. And I know it's good.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I think the worst thing about not only not understanding the mindset side, but also the world we're in, is we start to doubt ourselves. We start to go, oh no, it's not very good, and I'm not very good, and what was I thinking, and who am I? And actually, the truth is, it's great. We're great, because all the people that I deal with, all the people in your world, in my world, they genuinely care about the thing they're doing. They genuinely care that they're doing a good job. So we know it's going to be good. We know that it's not, you're not trying to con anybody, or you're not trying to, like, you know, the double glazed salesperson aspect. That's not the case. But the thing is, we look at other people and how, well, first off, the thing they tell us that we should be getting, like, you should launch and you should get 6 figures. And then, of course, if we do launch and we don't, FYI, when I did launch my course, I sold it to 28 people, like, and I was over the freaking moon, and I still am over the moon.
Too.
Like 28 people, that's 28 people who bought my course. Like, and it was like, it wasn't a huge amount of money. I think it was like $147 or something. Like, but I was more over the moon by the fact that I actually did it and someone wanted to buy it. Like, that was amazing. And it didn't have to be the 6 figures or the hundreds of people like they make out it is. But I think that's the thing. So we look at other people, for starters, we start taking in what they're saying, and we start believing the BS that they teach us. And then when it doesn't work for us, it's our fault, not theirs. Like,
yeah.
and that's
and I
not the
see
case.
it with the testimonials. Like, you go and you buy a course and you read all the testimonials and you're thinking, oh, okay, so you're either get this expectation, or you have this fear that, can I live up to this huge launch that they had? And I think that's the paralyzing part for me. It's like they almost oversell how great it is and how great these people did. Or you see the, well, results not typical, or stuff like
They
that.
never
And you're
are.
like, and it's so confusing.
And you know what? I had this. My dog is popping up to say hello. You
As
did
I
just see
see
the video. So professional. And I had this. I was watching a webinar that one of my friends was watching, and he messaged me and said, oh my God, did you see that? That man had only 150 people on his list, and yet sold a course and got 30 something thousand in his first go, right? And I was like, okay, I'm not saying they're lying, because I hope to God they're not lying, but they've told you nothing else. Okay. They haven't told you whether they had a Facebook group. They haven't told you whether they had a podcast. They haven't told you whether they had someone as an affiliate. Like, they're just not telling you the full picture.
Yeah. Or how much did you spend to get that much in sales? So it's not maybe that you have $30,000 now sitting on in your bank account. Maybe you spent 80% of that to get that. And that's, I think, 100%. A big thing that people don't understand or see.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, tell me the truth. Tell me the full story. You know, one of the only people I follow online, and I followed a lot over my time, who does this, and I think she does it very genuinely, is Denise Duffield-Thomas. She sent out an email, and it literally said, this is what we earned, this is what I spent, and she broke it all down. And like, just be honest, just tell the truth.
Yes.
One of the things that I talk about a lot, because it is built that the online business is the dream. Like, put together a course, sell it, you can lie on a beach and earn loads of money while you sleep. Like, and I am really honest. I am an online business, but I do not make enough money through my membership in order to maintain the life I want. And therefore I do other things. Sometimes I do corporate stuff. I get paid to speak. I get paid through affiliate stuff. So I work with Adobe. And if it wasn't for all those other things, I wouldn't bring in enough money. So yeah, on the surface, it looks like, oh, well, you've got an online business and you seem to do okay. And, and it's like, yeah, and I do, but it's not just down to that. So it's not that I'm always really cautious, because it's like, it sounds like I'm being very negative about it. And I'm not. I love my online business. I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm just trying to be in and let people know the truth of this sort of world in certain terms of, yes, you can be successful. Yes, you can earn good money through a membership or a course or a group coaching program. You are going to need an audience for sure. You're going to need an audience, and it's going to take time, and you've got to flipping love it, because
That's true.
I did not make enough money for a very long time. So I couldn't have done it if I didn't love it.
Well, and I think that by not being honest on what it took to get there, I feel like we almost instantly set ourselves up for sabotage, because we don't know all the pieces to put in. When I did the course thing with you, it was like, now I know all the pieces to put in. It wasn't any of that. So I appreciate that stuff. And I do appreciate when people say, okay, this is all the stuff that I did, and you do need to have this Facebook. And if you're not willing to do social media, then like me, then what all these other obstacles are, instead of just going into it having this expectation when you've almost now already set yourself up to fail.
And if they were just more honest about that, then we can make the informed decision. We can make the decision of, actually, am I okay with that? And I'm okay to kind of play it out and see how long it takes and do the work and show up and do all of that. And if the answer's no, then at least I would know. At least I could make that decision.
Yeah.
And also,
and they probably have better results. When you really think about it, you're going to get better results the more you're informed up front, and know what the expectations are. Then you can say, all right, I knew these expectations going in, where your expectations in the beginning are sometimes different than what actually ends up happening.
And of course, what that's going to do is, so let's say you decide, I watched something the other day as well. And I actually mute so much stuff, and I have to do that on purpose because it literally riles me. But I caught a live the other day of someone I wish I hadn't. And on this live, this person said, if you're not getting 10,000 people a month on your email list, you're doing it wrong. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said, but with some very colorful language.
Yes.
I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, I have an okay audience. I have a podcast that's on episode 200 and something, and I don't get anywhere near, don't even get 1,000 a month unless I put some money behind it. Okay. So it's like, just to be honest, because what will happen is someone's going to be watching that. They're going to buy the course that this person recommends, because obviously that's the point. They're selling a course about list building. They're going to buy that course. They're going to do all the steps, and they're not at all going to get 10,000 people a month. Never, ever. Like, I would be gobsmacked. So they're going to do it, and they're going to get, I don't know, let's say they get a couple of hundred a month, which I would be really, like, if someone came to me and said, I'm getting that, I'd be like, well done you. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say they were getting that. But of course, what they're doing is they're measuring it against 10,000. So they instantly go, well, I'm doing it wrong. I'm not good enough. Why aren't people joining my list? And then their mindset starts kicking in, and then they stop themselves from doing other stuff. Whereas if they just said realistically, actually, without any advertising spend, with using organic social media, with an audience of this size, I would expect ish amount, then they might look at it and go, well, that's about right. Or they might look at it and go, wow, I'm doing even better than I thought. And then how's their mindset going to be going into the next month and the next month and doing the next thing? It's going to be completely different. But of course, and I don't know whether it's the fault of just the experts or whether it's the fault of some of the customers, because we want to hear that there's the dream. We want to hear that, like, if I do this one thing, I'm going to be famous and earn all this money.
Yeah. And I remember that old saying, tell them what they want to hear and then give them what they need. But when you really looked at it, it's almost like what we just said. You're telling them what they want to hear, but what they want to hear sometimes isn't realistic.
No.
And are we really doing a disservice Like, I get the whole thing behind it, but maybe in hindsight, maybe it is more of a disservice.
And I think it is, and I think, you know, one thing that we've got to ask ourselves as well is when people come to me, like, so I work one-to-one with people, and like I said, I help them launch and I help them do things. But do people want me to go, I can help you launch and you can get 5 people buy your thing? No, of course they don't. Like,
Yeah.
because in their idea and their dream, I mean, it depends on who they are. But like, if someone else was saying, I can help you launch, and the last person I helped launch got 150 people, you'd think, oh, I'm going to go with them. They got 150 people. But again, and one of my members, one of my one-to-one people, I did their launch with them. They came to me and said, we're launching a membership, or we want to launch a membership, and we want to do the whole thing, like start to finish. We want it launched within a really short space of time. And I was like, they said, can we do it in that short space of time? And I went, if you can work fast, then yeah, we can do it. Although ideally, in an ideal world, I'd recommend this. Anyway, they did it. They got 320 members on their first go, right? 320 in their membership. Do I talk about that? No, because I can give you many reasons why they got 320 people on their first go. Was there an element down to me? Yeah, of course there was. Was it purely down to me? No, it wasn't. So if someone comes to me and goes, well, I want to get over 300 in my first go, I'm going to come to you for that reason. Well, that would not be ethical for me to go, I can do that, because I can't. They had a really big audience. Like, they had worked on
That
building
makes
that audience.
difference.
A huge difference. Like, there was 2 of them. So they were a partnership. So they got work done twice as fast as anybody that I've ever known. Like, so there are many reasons why they got the success they did. And yeah, there was an element of me, but of course, if, you know, what's someone going to want to hear? Do they want to work with someone that got 300 people on a list, or on a, you know, launch? Or do they want to hear someone go, well, realistically, if your list is this, you can expect sort of 5, 6 people. So I think it's
Yeah,
really, really tricky. But I also think, and I don't know about you, I think we're getting much smarter to this. I think we're getting a
I do
little
too.
bit tired, and I think we're getting a little bit kind of like, yeah, I'm not entirely sure this is right.
Yeah, because there is no magic pill, and there's no magic pill that doesn't come with some sort of effort and action behind it that I think a lot of us forget when we go into these ventures. There is a lot of hard work that goes into anything. Even just cutting a video and doing this is hard
Yeah.
work. And you may look at it like, what'd you do? Turn on your camera and talk?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, and with the podcast, like, well, you know, my dad jokes that, like, you know, what, people actually pay to listen to you talk. I'm like, yeah, all right, dad. Like, but you know, yeah, it seems to be, but there is a lot of stuff that we have to do, a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of work that goes into it. And again, so one of the things that I talk about all the time is creating your dream business and your dream life. Okay. And it sounds a little bit like, really? Like, is that some working on a beach type thing? No, not at all. It's about getting really clear on, well, what is important to me and what do I want? Because, you know, again, I could work with you and we could work our backsides off, and you could work every hour that God sends and then launch something and it'd be brilliant. But not everyone wants to do that. Like, do you want to speak to your children and your partner if you've got them? Like, do you want to eat and sleep and actually have some downtime? And that's the other thing. Again, there's too much talk around, like, look what I've achieved, look what I've got, but nothing around the quality of the life that they're living. And you know what's so fascinating? And I find this fascinating. One of the things that is, like, really promoted as an online business is you get to work when you choose, your decision. You can travel, you can do this. You are the thing. That isn't the case. With an online business, it's me. I've got to show up. And as part of what I commit to in my membership is I show up once a month and I do a mindset call. I show up once a month, I do a coaching call. I show up in the group and have conversations. Like, so if I wanted to step out of my own business for 6 months, there's no way I could. Like, because I've built, it's me. It's an online business that's built around me, which most online businesses are. They're built around a brand. Now, granted, if you had a course that you sold over and over and over, and you had a really good funnel that was set up, then yeah, maybe you could do that. But honestly, in most cases, when you are the person, when you're the brand, you can't step out of your business for very long.
No.
Whereas it was interesting. One of my friends has a website design company. In fact, he does my website, and he and obviously you're exactly in the same position, right? So he looked at the online world and was like, oh, I'm doing it all wrong. I need to stop making websites and I need to do a course, or I need to do a membership, or and he looked at all sorts of things. And actually we worked out that if he wanted to grow his business, can you hear my dogs? Like, they never do this. They're making noise. I'm so sorry. I'm very unprofessional. Oh, I'm gonna have to shut my door. I think because they are playing. It
Oh,
doesn't
they're
sound like
having
they're playing,
fun.
but they're brothers. They love each other. They're just
Oh.
like, we're bored now, mum. Can you stop working? But yeah, so like the thing is, if he wanted to step out of his business, he could bring in loads of people to do the work underneath him. Like, as long as the websites are being made, the same with you. Like, as long as websites are being made, then it doesn't matter whether it was you doing it or not, does it? Like, you could be the face of the business, or you could be the name of the business, but you could have a whole team that does everything underneath you. So you could step out the business. I can't. Like, I can't put someone else on a coaching call and I'm going to do the coaching call this week.
So
Everyone will be like, where's Teresa? So yeah, so I think the whole like build a dream, live on the beach, none of that's true. We've got to show up. I've got to do the podcast. I've got to do the coaching calls. I've got to be on my Instagram stories. I've got to be showing them all the time. So again, if you're coming into this sort of thing, and actually you think you're coming in because you want to not work for 6 months of the year, that isn't going to work.
No, and people don't realize, well, my family does, everywhere that I go on vacation, even if it's just for a weekend or out of town, my computer goes with me because stuff isn't getting done and I can't just go and take off at this point in my life. And that's the reality of it. And yeah, I may be able to go on trips, so I may have a lot more flexible schedule, but my computer does go with me. For me, I'm willing to trade that. I'm okay with it. I'm totally willing to trade that for a much more flexible life. And one of the reasons, and I'm not sure if I told you this, but one of the reasons that I chose the Wealth Within Us, I kind of thought long and hard about the name. And I really love the word wealth. And I love the word wealth because it's like you said, it's subjective for everybody. What's wealth for me is not going to be wealth for you. So let's go figure out ways and interview people that we can all sort of unlock our own wealth, whatever that is. But it's not going to be the same for you. Maybe someone is really happy and they're tied to their desk or their computer 24/7. And maybe they don't have a feeling like me. I wanted to spend time with my kids. I want to go on vacation. I want to do all these other things. So wealth for me is much different than somebody else.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? And I think, again, we're kind of taught or told that it's got to be like a 6-figure thing, or we've got to work this, or we've got to have this. And it's like, no, there's no right and there's no wrong. If you want to work 3 days a week and earn okay money for working only 3 days a week, then brilliant. Well done, you are successful. And I have this saying of like, we've got to stop measuring our own success with someone else's ruler. Like, someone else is telling us, this is what successful looks like. No, it doesn't. Like, I wake up every day and I flip and love what I do. Do I want to earn more money? Yes. Would I like, a bigger house? Yes. Bigger garden? Yes. Bigger greenhouse? Yes. But do I think I'm successful? Yeah, because I love what I do and I get to help people and I get to coach people, and doesn't mean I don't want more, and doesn't mean I don't want more money, but I do think I'm successful. And I think the problem is, like I said, when you're looking at someone, or when someone is saying to the world, this is what this looks like. But one of the things that I love is, and the reason we talk about your dream business, and it's very specific, is people are in different seasons of their life. So I have got members or people that I coach in my world that have young children. And right now, they know they could earn double what they're earning, but they'd have to work double than what they're doing. And they don't want to do that. And that's fine. Like, or the other great one is, there's lots of gurus out there who will go, you need to charge more. You need to charge what you're worth. You need to charge double. Well, do you know what? Okay, I'm not saying don't, but this one person I'm thinking about in particular, she wanted to work with a certain type of person. Well, we had to have a really good discussion about, well, what is that person likely to pay for this thing? And if that person is likely to pay like X amount of money, that's where you've got to be looking at charging for it. If you want to earn more, you've got to know that you're going to price yourself out of those people. And that's fine if you're okay with that. But it's like when people go, I like working with small businesses. Well, that's great. I love working with small businesses.
I do
but
too.
I know that small businesses aren't going to have necessarily humongous budgets. And I'm coming from a point of, my stuff is not cheap, but I try and do something at different levels, so there is something for everyone. But like I said, I know that if I wanted to work with corporates, I could probably earn a lot more money, but I don't want to work with corporates. I like working with small businesses. So that helps me dictate where my pricing is. So again, it's not always about charge what you're worth, increase your prices, you're worth more than this. Yeah, you might be, but if you want to work with those people, then you're going to have to compromise somewhere.
Yeah, and I think raising your prices isn't really a great strategy to get the life that you want to live. I mean, just raising your prices, like there's got to be more to it than that. It just seems so, but it's societal. And I think social media shows us what you were saying. This is what wealth looks like. This is what success looks like. This is what beauty looks like. This is what, and that's what held me back. I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. And it's like, I finally just threw it all away. Maybe it was turning 50 or whatever. But I was like, you know what? I don't care. Like, I am having so much fun doing this. I really like doing this. I feel like I can not only help myself, but I can help other people. And that's what it's all about. And just try to get rid of all the other garbage that comes with it that isn't even true, but we hold ourselves back. Oh, when this happens or when that happens. And that's another big one. Well, I'll do it when this or when that. Well, then when will it ever be?
Yeah. And it never will be
a trap.
Like, if you've got things in your head already saying that, it will find an excuse every single time. And this is where a lot of what I do.
This is where the mindset comes in.
Yeah. And a lot of the coaching I do is around that, but also the accountability. So I literally, right before this call, had a call with one of my one-to-one people that I coach, and she's tweaked something again and tweaked it again. And I'm like, now we need to draw a line in the sand. We need to take action. And I could see so much resistance coming from her. And I was like, what is it? What's causing that resistance? And she sort of said and explained about how she felt and how she was frustrated that she'd stopped herself in the past. And I was like, are you comfortable doing the things I've asked you to do? Because I need you to be comfortable, because we need to do them, because there has to come a point where, we do the work on the mindset, but there has to come a point where we go, that's it then, let's do it. Let's be brave. Let's put ourselves out there. And one thing that we always say is like, what's the worst that can happen? And it is scary putting yourself out there, and we shouldn't like dismiss that, because it is scary. However, often the things that we're trying to do, and especially the person I'm working with at the moment, is trying to serve and help others. And therefore, and when you were saying, Michelle, like, I'm not this enough or that enough, and someone out there needs to see you doing it to give them permission to do it. Like, if it's just the same people doing the same thing, then no one's giving us permission. No one is saying like, okay, I see someone who looks like me. I see someone who has a life like me. I see someone who is the same as me in this way. And I think often the people, and I joke all the time, which isn't very kind, but I joke, with my podcast, when I used to take interviews, I don't do interviews anymore. But when I did, like if someone applied and they were like a straight white middle-aged guy, it was like, out you go, like wouldn't even look at them. But it's like, because there were so many of those people doing that thing. And yet, and this is so interesting, actually, I had someone on a call today actually say to me, they wanted to get on more podcasts, but again, they hadn't. So we talked it through. Why hadn't you? What's stopping you? Like working on their mindset stuff. And then I said to her, you know what the difference is between the people who get on my podcast and the people who don't? They ask. Like, that's it. Like, that's the first and main difference, because there are a chunk of people who would love to come on it. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not doing interviews now, they can't, but like who would have loved to come on it, but they never even asked me. And then you've got a load of people, and the people who see themselves. So, let's take the poor white, straight, middle-aged man, and he sees himself everywhere, literally everywhere. Like there is abundance of these people. And therefore he'll look at himself and go, oh yeah, there's me over there and me over there. So I'm going to go for this, and I'm going to go for this, and I'm going to go for this. But when we don't see ourselves, I live in a larger body and I'm 43, I think, I can't remember. And I've got a child and a stepchildren and dogs, as you know, because you've been able to hear them. Like, I need to see people like me in place and doing my thing so I can go. And I had to see that. And I did see it. I saw someone with a larger body speaking on stage that then gave me permission to go, actually, I can do that too. And I don't need to be skinny and look a certain way in order to do that. So I think sometimes as well, to get out of our own heads, we have to think of someone else. And sometimes if that helps you go, well, do you know what? There's someone out there who needs me to do this. I'm going to do it for them, and just steps you out your own head, then great. Use that. Use whatever you can use to get out and do it.
Yeah. So give us some tips on how we can get out of that. Cause even I need them. I mean, yeah, I'm doing this, but I'm still not where I want to be. There's still like, what do they say, that success is always just on the other side of fear?
Yes, it
Or
is
everything you wanted
100%.
is always on the other side of fear. It's
So
so
there's a couple of
scary.
things that
Rejection
are
is scary.
and honestly, everything we do is scary. Like seriously, just running a
Yeah,
business is scary.
it's true.
Like it's the biggest putting yourself out there ever. And I don't know about you, but when I started, everybody was like, "Oh, are you all right?" Like they genuinely thought I'd lost my mind. And then there was the whole, well, if it doesn't work, you can always get a job, or immediately dismissing me, which luckily the
Oh yeah.
very kind of defiant side of me was like, I'll show you. And, thank goodness I'm still going 8 years later. So for me, there's a couple of things when it comes to fear. The first one is never make a decision from fear. Okay, we never make good decisions from fear.
That's
So, like, one of the examples I use, which is not always an easy example, but as if, like, so let's say you don't have a lot of clients and you need more clients, and a client comes along and goes, I want you to do this and I want you to do it for this amount of money. And ordinarily, that is not something you would do, but you're in fear. You are more likely to go, yeah, okay, then, because you're in fear. But the truth is, it's probably not going to end up brilliantly because that isn't what you do and that isn't the amount you charge for it. Whereas if you think to yourself, if I was fully booked or if I had enough, would I take this client? And
yeah.
if the answer is no, then, and this is why this is a tricky one, because if you need the money, you need the money. And I get that. Like, do not get me wrong, for all the mindset and all the woo I love, like, I'm not one of these people who go, just wish it and it'll come. Like,
Yeah,
I
no.
appreciate there's a bit of hard work you need to put in, but ask yourself, would I take it on? And if you wouldn't, then either make some amends to that and go, I can do this, but I'm going to charge this, or I can do this bit, but I can't do this bit. Don't just take it as face value. And like I said, we tend to make bad decisions. So one of the things that I talk about is a kind of program that was set up actually by Brooke Castillo in the Life Coach School. And it's and I have to remember the way it goes, CTFAR. Okay. So C is for circumstance, T is for thought, F is for feeling, A is for action, R is for result. Okay. So a circumstance is proof. I can prove something. So let's say you didn't get a client. So I can prove that you didn't get the client. Like I could go into a court of law and go, look, here's the client saying no. That's proof. That's not a thought or a feeling. That is fact. So you take something that's fact, that's your circumstance. The next thing is your thought. So let's say you went for a client and you didn't get it. And your thought might be, if you're not thinking very positively and you don't have a great mindset, it might be, oh my gosh, I really messed up there. I was obviously far too expensive. They didn't like me. What was I thinking? I did a terrible pitch. It was awful. So all these thoughts, all these negative thoughts are going to turn in to a negative feeling. So the feeling is going to be, well, I feel horrible and I don't feel very confident and I'm obviously not doing a very good job and who the hell do I think I am? And this is awful. So when you're
I'm not
coming
doing
from
that again.
yeah, because it feels horrible. And so you're not feeling very positive and you're feeling really low. So then what happens is another opportunity arises. And because you're feeling like that, you're very likely to take action on that feeling. So because you feel like that, you're not going to be like, yeah, let's go for it. You're going to be like, do you know what? They are very similar to the other company and they didn't like me. So I don't think they're going to like me. Or I don't think I was pricing it right. So if I go in, I'm going to have to like half my price because I don't think I'm worth it. And they obviously didn't think I was worth it. So you do some action based on those feelings, which normally isn't a great action. And then the result is either you didn't get it because you didn't go for it because you were too scared to, or you get it, but you've gone in at a really low price and now you're doing something that you really don't want to do. So let's go back to the beginning. We can't change the circumstance. The circumstance is as is. So I didn't get that client. what if my thought was differently? What if I could reframe what I'm thinking? So what if my thought was, yeah, I didn't get that. Could have been loads of reasons. They might have already had someone in the bag ready for it. They might not have thought I was a good fit. I might not have been a good fit for them. They might not have been a good fit for me. There's obviously a reason I didn't get that, and something better is on its way. And all the kind of calm reasons why you might not have got it. So then my feeling is going to be, yeah, I'm a little bit gutted, but onwards and upwards, let's get going. You know, I'm happy to go for another, which means my action when the next thing comes along is great. Here's another thing. Let's give it a go. And I'm confident because I haven't blamed it on, oh, I'm obviously too expensive, or they think I'm terrible. So I'm confident I'll keep the pricing where it is, and I'll go in and go for it again. And the result could be a very different result. You could get it. You could get it at the price you want it. So you can see that basically your thoughts and your feelings, which aren't fact, like you said before, they are things that we borrowed from other places.
Yep.
You can't prove unless they specifically said you are too expensive. And if that's the case, they're not the customer for you. Like,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you're not worth it. It just means you were out of their budget. But that, unless you can prove that, which unless they said it, you can't, then basically we don't know. We're just, our brain is just going, these are the reasons, these are the reasons. And then our thought turns into feelings, and our feelings are, they suck, because we're like, that feels horrible. What was I thinking? Who do I think I am? And therefore the action we're going to take from there on. The same with, like I said, when you're coming from fear, circumstance, I don't have as many clients as I want. My thoughts are, oh my God, and someone offers me something, oh my God, I've not got clients. I don't know when my next one's coming from. I'm not sure, you know, maybe I'm not worth what I thought. You know, feelings, oh my, panic, I'm frustrated, I'm worried, I'm scared. Action, I might have that conversation, I might take on that client. Result, probably going to end up with the client I hate. So like I said, I know it's not always as simple when it comes to money aspect, but even if we can just give our self that kind of breather of, okay, if everything was perfect right now, what would I be thinking about this? How would I feel like about this? It just gives us an alternative view. When I first started being
courage to do that too. Like, it takes courage to not take a job when you need the money, and faith almost that the universe is going to bring me what I need next in a way that is good for me and for that client or that person or that thing.
Totally. And one of the things that my coach used to say to me was, what if you're exactly where you need to be? And sometimes, like, she would say, I remember the first time she said it, I'd just lost some clients, I'd fired one, and I'd lost a couple of others that had come to like the end of their kind of thing that they were doing. And suddenly my because this is when I had the agency, my income had like taken a nosedive. And I remember getting on a coaching call, freaking out, like, this is awful, this is horrendous, I've got no money, what did I think? And I'm just like not long paid for this very expensive coaching. And she said to me, what if you're exactly where you need to be? And of course, my head, and if you've ever read The Chimp Paradox, if you haven't, it's an amazing book. The chimp in my head is like, what do you mean? This is ridiculous. This is overblown. And the chimp is going crazy in my head. Like, oh, you should. It's so good.
Okay.
But like, so I'm sat there thinking, you're talking absolute rubbish. This is not a good place. And we talked it through, and she calmed my chimp down, and we had a conversation. And it's like, whether I believe that statement or not, it just feels nicer. Because do you know what? Me freaking out is changing nothing. Like, losing those clients are gone. Like, me losing my mind and freaking out will literally change nothing. So isn't it just nicer to go, what if I am exactly where I need to be? Yeah. And interestingly, in hindsight, that was the point in which I had a big enough break to really start to work on the online business. And then later on, got rid of the only clients that I had left to then go fully into the online.
And without that break, you might not have been able to do that.
Exactly.
It's so hard. You can see things so clearly in hindsight, but when they're right in front of you, that's where the impulsive decision making and the decisions out of fear happen.
And I'm not saying that like every bad thing that happens has a good reason.
Yeah.
Like, but I can normally find one. Like, even, you know, and this sounds like such an awful one, but my mum passed away a few years back, and my relationship with my dad has never been better. Like, yeah, I'm not saying great, bonus my mum died. Like, I'm definitely not saying that, but I'm saying out of what was dreadful, actually something really good came out of it. You know, I'm married for a second time. Like, obviously going through a divorce was not an amazing time in my life.
Oh.
However, I had to go through that to be where I am now, which is very happy and much more where I need to be. So sometimes in our business, we need to think about that. I just want to touch on the chimp paradox. So this book is by Professor Steve Peters, and it's brilliant. It's not the easy. I personally didn't find it the easiest book to read. Maybe I'm not smart enough. But the concept is so good. And basically what he does is you've got the prefrontal cortex that he calls the human, and you've got the limbic system, which he calls the chimp. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. And if you are like some neurologist, I'm going to completely mess this up and simplify it beyond belief. But basically, when we have a decision to make, there's another part of our brain which he calls the computer, and it goes to the computer and goes, do we know this? Okay, so let's say I'm asking you to do something really scary in your business that you've never done before. So your brain will go to the computer within like milliseconds. Do we know this? Have we done it? Have we got any experience of it? Nope, because I've never done it before. Or if you had a terrible experience, but no good experience. So then it'll come into the chimp and the human. Now, the problem is you've got the chimp who is irrational, emotional, like black and white, i.e., it's either good or it's bad, completely erratic. And then you've got the human who is much calmer, shades of gray, can be rational about things, can think things through, can work things out. And the human is you, okay? The human is normally you as a person. But the problem is the chimp is crazy powerful, right? So when a decision comes into your head, the human can't beat the chimp. The chimp is like, I'm on it and I'm going crazy. So this is nothing we do. So when fear kicks in, the chimp has a field day. So the chimp will tell you, so let's say you want to speak and you're scared of speaking, okay? So the chimp is going to go, oh my God, you're going to forget your words. You're going to say and all the time. You're going to fall up the stage. You're going to do this. People are going to know you're a fraud. Someone's going to know more than you and think, and your chimp is going crazy. And normally we try and shush the chimp, but the problem is it's too powerful. So what I would suggest is you write down all the stuff the chimp's saying and you let them wear themselves out, because they will. Okay, it's like a child having a tantrum, the chimp in your head. So you let the chimp go crazy and you write it all down. Then once the chimp has worn itself out, which it will, the human can take over. And then what the human does is it will look at each one of those points. Well, this is my take on his thing anyway. For me, the human looks at each one of those points and I say to myself, what would I do about it? So I'm a speaker. I've been on lots of stages. What if I tripped up? So what would I do about it? Well, I feel pretty embarrassed, but I'm probably not the first person in the world to trip up. I could probably make a joke of it and they wouldn't forget me, but I wouldn't die. No. Okay. What if I forgot my words? Well, they don't know what I'm saying. So who knows? I forgot my words.
Yeah.
Or I could just be honest and go, oh, I lost my train of thought. Where was I? What if the tech failed? Well, that's not my fault. And I'm sure tech has failed before. So once you kind of unpick the chimp's kind of irrational, all these awful things are going to happen, and actually sat there and go, what would I do about it? Suddenly it kind of takes all the heat out of it. It takes all the kind of energy out of it, because it's like, well, yeah, that would suck if I fell up the stage, but it is what it is. And so one of the things I do personally is every time I go to speak somewhere, I go in the room before anybody else and I walk onto the stage to check how the flooring is, to make sure that like there's not a slippy bit or a bit that like just to fail safe. But like I said, and then when we write those down and the human's in control, then we can start to feel better about it. And then I get them to write, and what if it went perfectly? Like what could be the benefit of this thing? So we've heard all the scary things about going on stage. We've heard what we would do about them. The chances of any of these things happening are pretty slim, FYI. But what if it went exactly as we wanted? What would the benefit be? Well, oh my God, I've just been put as an expert in front of all these people. Suddenly all these people know who I am. I've shown up and I've shown them I know what I'm talking about. I'm connecting with all these people. I'll have some photos for social media. I might get to speak on another stage. Like there's so many benefits to it. But the fear, the chimp is so flipping powerful in our brain that if we don't allow it to run out of steam and listen to it, because he's hoping you're kind of not listening. He hopes that you just go, all right, shut up now and I'm not going to do it. But if you let him go on and you write that down and then you write down and you let the human take over, it normally calms you down.
It makes so much sense. And it almost goes back to what you said. Then you're making, if you've got this chimp, then you're making that decision out of fear.
Yeah.
Chimp is the fear.
Yeah. The chimp is going to be the completely irrational one. You know, the chimp, the other thing the chimp does is he wants more. So The chimp will always let you forget your wins like that. Like,
Ah,
so it
yeah.
will get you to the point of like, you'll get to a thing and I'll go, great, what next? And then it's like, you haven't even had a chance to have 5 minutes and go, can I just have a minute here? And do you know what? One thing that's really interesting is when I talk to my therapist, I've been working on some stuff with her, and stuff that like 12 months ago I couldn't even broach the conversation, and now I'm actually doing the work. And she is like, every time I get on a call and I'm like, yeah, this happened, she's like, can we just slow down a minute? And can you just say what you just said again? Because we don't do it enough. The
Yeah.
chimp's like, yeah, great, I did this, and move on because you're terrible and now you've got to get something else. So it's like, again, slow yourself down and go, I just did that really freaking brave thing. And yeah, posting a social media post might not seem much to someone else, but to me, it was huge. And I'm going to high five myself and go, I am a badass.
Because most of the time, no one else is there to do it.
Yeah.
Like, no one else is often there to do that. So we have to do it for ourselves.
And that's why having these, someone asked me once, what do I mean mindset? What is mindset? And I thought, oh God, no one's ever asked me that. I have no idea. And I sat there for a second and thought, for me, it's just slowing down and considering your thoughts, just giving yourself a moment to think, and almost like stepping out of yourself. And that is incredibly hard to do. It's incredibly hard to do when you're in the moment. So like, one of the things, again, it's almost the chimp again. Like, so I met my now husband when his daughter was 15, and you can imagine how that went down. Like a 15-year-old girl and a new stepmom comes into her world. Yeah, it was a really hard time. So I journal, and I would journal, and boy, the stuff that would come out. If they could read them, I would be in trouble.
Those
Like,
get burned.
yeah, because literally I would let the chimp go wild, and I would be angry and I'd be frustrated and I'd be like, can't believe she behaved that way, and I'm so angry, and how dare he, blah, 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 blah. And then once I let the chimp wear itself out, Mary, my coach, would go, can you come from love? And at the beginning, if she said come from love, I'd be like, no, I can't come from love. I'm absolutely living it, right? Because the chimp's in control and he can't come from love because he's the chimp. But by the time I let it wear itself out, I would normally get like a page or two in my journal, and then I'd be like, actually, she's a 15-year-old girl and her mum left, and suddenly this new woman's in her world, and my poor husband is stuck in the middle, and then suddenly, because I'd let it wear out, but it's only being mindful and mindset stuff that would allow me to do that. Because normally what would happen is, instead of dealing with it, instead of giving it somewhere to vent, like journaling, I would just leave it in my head and it would ruminate and go round, and I'd get angry and angry and angry. But using a tool like journaling to get it out on paper and then go, okay, actually, often by the end of like the journal thing, I would turn to my husband and go, yeah, I'm really sorry about that. Or, do you know what? I shouldn't have reacted the way I did because X, Y, Z. I mean, he did then start getting a habit of, every time I got a little bit mad about anything, he'd go, do you need to journal that out? And I'd be like, you need to shut your face, because no, I don't.
I'll be journaling about you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need to journal about how you haven't cooked dinner. Just cook dinner. But yeah, so these things, like, there are so many tools, there are so many things. It is never like, it's a journey, it's not a destination. Like, I have done my coaching qualification, I have therapy, I have my coach, I do all the work, I read the books, like, and it doesn't mean that I walk around every day on cloud 9, living my best life. Far from it. What it does mean is, when something comes up in my business that scares me, when something comes up in my life that halts me, I can deal with it and move out of it a lot quicker. Like, I can go, oh, there's that thing coming up again. That's interesting. Okay, yeah, I've been here before. We can move past this now. And it's just the practice. It's the practice of doing it. But honestly, in terms of like, not just my business, but my personal life and me, I don't know how I functioned without doing all the stuff I did, because I wouldn't have the business I have today. I wouldn't show up the way I do. I wouldn't stand on stages. I wouldn't have the amazing people I have in my world. I wouldn't be talking to you if I didn't do this stuff.
No. And you know, it's something that struck me when you said defining mindset. From everything that you've said, I think I would define mindset as mind settling. Like, that's like what really you're trying to do. You're trying to settle
Yeah.
your mind to try that monkey mind, that chimp that's there, or
Yeah.
whatever other crap you're putting in there that you're not filtering through or writing out, and whatever it is, journaling, or however
Yeah.
you get those emotions and feelings down to a settled level.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, that's such a good way of putting it, because we're not trying to be happy all the time. That's not natural. No one is happy all
Yeah.
the time.
And you can't
Things
expect
will
it.
happen. Sorry, say that again, Michelle.
And I think like you can't expect it. And I think sometimes social media kind of conditions us, or you see people and you're like, oh my God, they just must live this fabulous life. But you have to realize sometimes we need to step back and say, they're only showing us the highlights.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
As to an extent, we all do. And I think the
Oh,
more
absolutely.
we can show up, like, I happily admit I won't show up without makeup. Like, personally, I quite like the way I do makeup, and I look way better with it. Like, so, and but at least I will say that's the truth. I don't
Yeah.
pretend that's how I look 24/7. So for me, it's about going just that kind of real, authentic, honest,
Mhm.
as much as you're willing to share. Now, you don't have to share everything. I came up with this accidental kind of good quote the other day, because I was talking about the fact that I'm an open book. And I actually said, just because I'm an open book doesn't give you the right to be able to read every single page. And it's like,
Mhm.
it doesn't. So I'm not, I am very honest, and I will show up
Yeah.
on social media. It doesn't necessarily mean I share everything, but I think the more we can just be honest and have honest conversations, and not be, one of my members all the time used to go, oh my, I don't earn much, my little business. And I'm like, well, you stop saying that, because
Um,
you don't know what these other people are earning. You don't know, like you said, someone who's earning a turnover of 100,000, you have no idea what is going out and
yeah,
what profit they're bringing in. No idea.
because we
So
don't know behind other people's scenes.
no, and they're not going to tell us. And these people
Yeah.
aren't going to be honest, are they? So, well, very few of them are, which is frustrating. So
Which
I
is
think
why
it's
I
just
love you.
because I'm painfully honest. But I just want people to
Oh, we
be,
all need to be.
and I think, you need to be happy, and you need to have something that you create. And if you spend your entire life striving for something that actually is like gold dust, then you're not enjoying what you're doing. There's a great quote. I'm going to grab my book, right? So I was a co-author in this book, and I got this quote. I stole it from a podcast, actually. There's a guy called Slow Mo, and Mo chowed it, and he wrote a book called Soul for Happy, and he has a podcast. And someone came on his podcast, and she said this statement, which has stuck with me ever since. And it's what if I will never be anything more than I am here and now? Could I be okay with that?
Hmm.
And you know what? Like, I sat and thought about that for ages. And because we're in a world where we want more, always, we want the next thing. We need the new iPhone. We want to go on that holiday. We need the bigger car. We need this. We need this. We need this. And in business, it's never enough, ever. Like, we hit
It's
this goal, we
always
want the next goal,
changing.
always. But actually, asking yourself that question, what if I will never be anything more than I am here and now? Could I be okay with that? And I sat there and thought, yeah. Now, does it mean I don't want more? Of course I want more. Do I
Mhm.
want to earn more? Yeah. Do I want to coach more people? Yeah. Do I want more people in my membership? Yeah. But actually, if this was it, could I be okay? And 100% I could. And I think the problem is people aren't asking themselves that question. And they're not sitting and going, do I actually love my life right now? And like I said, I know we have bad days. I know things go wrong. But on the whole, am I pretty okay with where things are? And if the answer is yes, then brilliant. You have succeeded. Like, well done, you. Now, if you want more, brilliant. Go out and get more. That's not a problem. But what I don't want people to do is strive to create this thing so much that they just don't pay attention to what they're doing every day. Like, they just don't sit and enjoy the life they've got. They're just constantly striving for something that maybe just isn't as realistic as they're being told it is.
Yeah, and enjoying what's right in front of them already, whether it be
100%.
family or whatever that may be.
Yeah. And or neglecting some of those other things that make them happy in the quest of.
Yeah,
And
we've all
one of
been
the
there.
things, Yeah. And one of the things we did this year with my small group coaching program was when we did the goal setting, because my coach tasked me with this, is she actually said to me this year, I don't want you to write any business goals. I want you to write pleasure goals only.
Ooh.
Because like, for me, I was focusing so hard on the business and so hard on the outcomes that I was letting them decide whether I was successful enough. And it's like, when I focus on how am I just going to be happy? So my goals, a lot of my goals this year are trying something new every single month, or going and visiting somewhere else. Now, admittedly, a lot of these goals need money to do them, but some of them don't. And I'm just trying to focus on where can we bring the joy in more. Yes, we can have, and don't get me wrong, I push my members hard, and, you know, the coaching people I coach, I push hard, but I don't want them to put everything else to the back burner for the day. Like you said, when I get this, I'm going to XYZ, because what if it doesn't come? Let's love it now.
Or what if that thing has passed?
Yeah. Yeah. Because the minute you get that,
not even be there anymore.
And the minute you get it, you're just going to forget it and move on to the next thing. So if you don't stop and like smell the roses, as it were, right now, you're never going to do it. And that's where the mindfulness and the, you know, exactly what you said, settling your thoughts gives you the thought to go, okay, I can, you know, I'm here right now. And it's things like when we do gratitude, like when we think about overwhelm and anxiety are either in the future or in the past. So, and I suffer from anxiety. I know anxiety very well, but like, it's either anxious about something's coming or anxious about something I've done. It's never anxious about right now. The same with overwhelm. Overwhelm right now, all I have to do is speak to you. There's no overwhelm because I'm in the moment right now. So doing that mindful work, doing the mindset stuff, slowing things down, settling those thoughts just really helps you to be in those points.
It really does. I love everything that you said. Oh, so how can people get in touch with you? How can people work with you like I do?
Come and join our amazing bit on the internet. We have this perfect little spot on the internet.
Fun.
We do have fun and we laugh and we cry. Sometimes people get very upset on a coaching call, and that is absolutely fine because life is hard sometimes. So you can search Teresa Heath-Wareing anywhere. You will find me. The advantage of having a slightly unusual name. Go to teresaheathwareing.com and you can find everything there, or search Your Dream Business Podcast and you'll find me there as well.
Well, I hope everybody does that, as I have, and have never looked back.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Honestly,
well, I appreciate so much of your time. I really do. And I know you're quite a few hours ahead of me, so you're probably at dinner time.
Time for dinner. Yeah. Don't know what we're having for dinner. That'll be the next
as long as it's
mindset task. When my husband and I debate dinner, but
well, thank you again so much for coming on, and for all this and more. Also go to the website at thewealthwithin.us and you will find out even more information there. So thank you until next time.